Hi, Brent here at thetoolJungle.com. Today we're going to be talking about my TIBURON blades. I would call it more of my specialty series blades where the blades are designed more specific for specific needs. The first one I would start out with is my number one seller of actually my entire TIBURON line. Because in the area where I'm at, there's a lot of customers now doing marble, decked in porcelain slabs, crystallized glass, nano glass, and a lot of specialty materials that blades aren't necessarily have been invented yet for this amount of consumption. Also a lot of the natural quartzites. So this blade here will cut everything like Taj Mahal, including Taj Mahal, really smooth. And that's the importance with cutting specialty, expensive materials. You want a really smooth cut because a lot of those materials, they're doing 45 edges. Specifically, for instance, the porcelain or the decked-in. Decked-in edges are laminated at 45-degree angles. So therefore, when you're cutting expensive material, and specifically when you're mitering them, you really want, the number one priority should be is how smooth is the blade cutting. So with specialty blades, I'm designing them more for the smoothness of the cut than it being a super fast blade that can cut everything. But on the hard to softness scale, this blade has the largest range from hard to soft of materials it can cut, even more than the layered diamond blades. Just the drawback is it won't cut as fast, and since it's only 10 millimeters, you're not going to get the life you would have at like a 20 millimeter. But it definitely is probably my best performance blade I have. It's becoming my hugest seller in my area because the materials are kind of changing of what's most popular. And right now in my area, decked-in's huge. The Taj Mahal, the natural quartzites are huge. Calcutta marble. It just doesn't end of all the new materials coming out that's really dominating this area for countertops. So the purple TIBURON blade, hands down. I just say if the material's expensive, you don't want to take a chance, use this blade. The next one I have is this blade here, my TIBURON blue. And this blade I made specifically for the Blue Ripper rail saw. It's exactly 14 inches, so it fits, but I was able to get a standard Blue Ripper rail saws you'll find on the market are 10 millimeter and under. This I got up to 12 millimeters, so you got more life on the blade than your traditional Blue Ripper rail saws. So it's a 12 millimeter, 14-inch blade. It cuts a wide range of materials. And if you're in a pinch and it can't cut a material, you can buy the purple TIBURON in 14 inches and it'll cut. Because I designed my 14-inch TIBURON purple blade to fit any kind of rail saw up to bridge saws. Same with my green one, which I'll get to in a little bit. So a little recap on the blue one. It's just the blue, I call it rail saw blade, meaning any of the rail saws, primarily the Blue Ripper. It's for, everyone's like, you know what, you got a blade that fits the Blue Ripper? Because with the bridge saw industry, not all blades are the same sizes, even though they're sold. Like, for instance, most blades that are 14 inches that are sold as 14 are actually 15 inches. 16s are usually 17s. So the sizes, because it depends on the segment height, and they guess so when they make the blade, it's tough to say what size it is because it depends what it's running. So this is, you know, if you're running the Blue Ripper, that's the blade for you. Or if you're a traditionalist that just wants a 12 and under kind of segment, I have that only in the 14-inch option. I don't carry these in any larger size blades. The purple TIBURON I carry in all the sizes, 12, 14, 16s, 18s. And last is the green miter cut blade. This blade I designed, it's very similar to this blade. It has a different technology where it's silent. How they make it silent is with the laser cut. I am improving this. I'm making a new version of this down the road. It'll probably be coming out a few months from this video, is where the core is going to be sandwich silent core too. So it's going to be a double sandwich silent blade in two aspects. So it'll be very quiet, more so than any blade. This blade is very similar, does what the purple blade does. I say it's more for, I would say this blade's more for like the miter saws and for the blue rippers and smaller bridge saws. A lot of the guys using the Park Industries bridge saws, the smaller ones they make, a lot of the guys love this blade for cutting marble, quartzite, natural quartzite, even decked in, the porcelain it works on, the quartzites, the Taj Mahal it works on. Very similar to this blade, and just a different technique, a little different design and engineering. And so that's the recap on these blades. And also I always like to say in all my videos about bridge saw blades, science in the design of blades only gets you so far. Ultimately, it has to do with the operator. There's operators that have been running bridge saws for over 40 years plus to operators that are just started. So you have to take that into consideration when someone that's an expert on using a blade versus someone that's just starting out. I liken it to a baseball bat and a baseball. And everybody on the planet can have a baseball bat and a baseball, but the levels of people hitting that ball with that simple bat is from 0 to an infinite amount. So it's the same thing. A lot in this industry has to do with the actual guy using the product, the professional user. An amateur person's not going to have necessarily the same results as someone that's been doing it a lifetime. So always take that into consideration. Also, the different saws used, different tables. For instance, this is designed to cut up in the air on the miter saw, where traditional bridge saws are cutting on concrete. Whenever you cut on a concrete table, you're always going to have the best performance on blades, hands down, because the concrete table keeps the segments sharp. Then from there, you got tables that are out of wood. Wood tables do not have as good as a response with cutting as they do concrete table because the blades aren't staying dressed from the concrete. And now the hardest thing out there is the miter saw. The miter saw is just a saw that the blade comes up in the air, so there's nothing hitting the tip. So the bond formulations for cutting miters in the air are different than cutting miters into the concrete table or a miter into a wood table. So with the miter saw, this blade is designed for the blade tip to be up in the air. As the slabs pass through, the blade will still cut good. That's why when I always say miter cuts, they're like, well, how does it come this blade says miter cut and you're saying they're all cut miter cuts? It's really designed, it's specific to what you're doing. But on miter cuts, with these two blades, on the machine that's designed for miters, this is going to be a little bit better for the one that cuts up in the air. Cutting miters on concrete or wood, they're probably neck and neck. This will last longer, this will wear out quicker on the concrete table. So that's just a little rundown, what I always like to talk about with bridge saw blades. Operators have almost everything to do with it. The tables have a big factor, the type of saw, the horsepowers. Some bridge saws are very old, they can be shaking with the head, where a new saw cuts, the bearings are still straight in the head. So there's a lot of variables with blades, and that's why I do make a wide range of blades, because a lot of my customers, they'll either call me or email me, and we start with one blade at a time to get specific. And that's what I encourage everyone online to do. You know, if you watch my tutorials and you see them all on my blades and you're still confused, no problem. Just shoot me an email, say, hey, I've been using this blade for so long, and here's what I like about it, here's what I don't. I can fine-tune you a blade, because my overall objective right now is this industry is changing constantly with materials, and when materials change, different fashions come in with stone, different blades are going to come into factor. So I always try to limit every shop to be able to cut everything in their shop with two blades. That's the overall science of all my blades. I always try to make it, okay, here's the whole range of materials out there. You got the nanoglass, the porcelain, the Taj Mahal, to the softest marbles, the travertines, the limestones. Do you need 10 different blades for all those materials? No. I think you can get it down to 2 blades. So that's kind of how I design the blades. Some blades, if you get a blade that only cuts a certain material, you might need 2 more blades. But that's something you can email me, shoot me different messages. Of course, segment heights have a lot to do with it. I touch base on that on different tutorials of mine that Technically, the bigger the core you have with less segment, the better it's going to cut a 45. Also, the better it'll be for making something very specific. Scientifically speaking, with bridge saw blades, if you only made segments 5 millimeters but had the cores really big, the steel cores, in performance, those blades will be better than any blades that are, I call it general blades. But that's too much to ask for with too many materials. You can't have a shop have 20 formulas of blades. That's going to be a nightmare. So what I do is I color code all the TIBURON line, and I even explain how my color codes can work with other brands like Disco Blue or Disco Yellow or the Zenesis Blacks and Zenesis Whites, the Zenesis 2s. So I try to color code everything with the TIBURON line. And today this tutorial is specifically on these 3 blades, which I call more of your specific blades that are more specific to what's coming up in the next years to come with the new type of miter saws and the new type of materials.